Welcome back to SI Now, powered by Ford. Maggie Gray, Amani Chuber, and pleased to be joined by UFC star Miesha Tate. Thank you so much for being here. Now, you're getting set in a few months to have this huge fight against Ronda Rousey. You guys are the two most visible females in UFC. Where are you now in your training, and when do you really have to start buckling down, focusing, and getting set for the fight?
Well, right now I was just training the game plan and, strategizing and trying to really learn. I'm kind of in a learning part of my training camp, and then I'll really buckle down and focus a lot more on the physicality and the hard grind. The main part of my training camp will start sometime in October.
Okay.
Now, when did you get started in the MMA? I mean, it's just something that seems like, for women, it's just now starting to become.
Right.
Dana White didn't want to have women in the MMA. Now, you and Ronda are there.
Yeah.
How exciting is that to be one of the first ones, and how did you get involved in it?
Well, I mean, it's very exciting, all of it. I think Ronda and I fought each other once before. I was the champion, and she actually took the belt from me, and that was the fight that put women's MMA on the map as far as Dana and Lorenzo were concerned. So it's really cool to be a part of that history in the making, and I hope to blow the UFC out of the water with this next fight. And to answer your question, how I got started, I wrestled in high school on the boys' team. I wrestled all guys, and so it was just one of those things where the stars just kind of aligned, and I found mixed martial arts when I went on to college, and it was just kind of a snowball effect. I just found an interest in it, and I guess I decided I liked punching people and getting punched in the face, so it's really as simple as that.
Yeah, what is that realization? You're like, I love this.
Yeah, it's so weird,
right?
right?
Face today. This is great. We were talking before about sometimes you do things when you're younger, you don't realize how courageous you have to be. Was it difficult to walk in that first day to the boys wrestling team and say, I'm here, I'm one of you, and I'm an equal?
I didn't know what to expect. So at first I would say no. The decision was kind of random. I really actually I started wrestling because I can't play basketball to save my life. That's why I started wrestling.
Basketball's loss is everyone else's game.
Exactly. So it was kind of by default, actually. So I didn't expect much. And I had no idea what I was getting myself into, and they just mopped the mat with me for 2 weeks. I mean, they didn't teach me anything. They put me in there with the best wrestler. I had mat burns all over my face, and I just remember thinking that I sucked so bad, and I was like, if I keep coming back, it can't get any worse than this. I have a lot of room for growth and improvement, and so it was so incredibly challenging that it really kind of hooked me, and I fell in love with the sport.
Now, Ronda, she has her signature armbar, and she's into jiu-jitsu. What is your specialty in the martial arts?
Yeah, she's an Olympic bronze medalist in judo, so she's very talented with that, and she's got an incredible armbar. But as far as being well-rounded, I wouldn't go that far to say she's very well-rounded. And I don't really think she's been in a fight yet. She's been able to use her judo to get it to the ground and pull off that armbar inside of a minute. So. Inside of the first round. So I'm absolutely determined. I would rather die than let her armbar me again. So it's not going to happen. So she's going to have to actually fight, and it'll be the first fight of her life. Yeah.
Well, talk about the first fight between you two.
The first fight I was just very emotional because Ronda's a difficult person to get along with. And especially if you're her opponent, she likes to try to get inside your head and make you upset and emotional. And it totally worked, and I just saw red the whole fight. I hardly remember it. I just wanted to kill her. And so, I didn't fight my game plan. I didn't stick to the strategy very well, so it really helped play into hers. And I definitely plan on not making that mistake again. I've definitely done a lot of growing since that fight, and having to be around her for the Ultimate Fighter every day, multiple times a day, really helped me kind of get immune to that. Her bad girl, big, intimidating factor was kind of like out the window. It's like, whatever,
But you guys, have you become friends now? Because you're opposite on the sides of the fence in terms of the Ultimate Fighter. You're coaching against each other. What's your relationship like now?
Absolutely not. Well, you guys will definitely see when the Ultimate Fighter comes out, but we don't get along really at all, and I kind of take it with a grain of salt. I find it almost humorous now because, like I said, I feel like I see through her act, and she was very emotionally charged this whole season, and I don't know what to say. How do you describe it? It's some crazy.
Is it hard to make it not emotional though? Because even if you are a tactician, even if it's, you can look at it clinically and have a game plan, you're still getting hit and punched. I feel like it would be hard to take the emotion out.
It's not as hard as you would think when you become a professional at something. You know, I think a lot of people misconstrue MMA and think, you know, of it as just violence and that, you know, if I had to fight someone, I would have to be angry or be emotional. But I just don't see it that way. You know, I really feel like it's a sport. It would be the same like playing tennis, you know, something that you just go out there and you have fun with. And I'm just a very competitive person, so, you know, for me, it's just a very fitting sport.
Yeah, well, we saw the promo. When you guys are squared off, and what does she grab out of your hand?
I can't tell you guys. You'll have to see. But it was humorous. It was something that played in, you know, really tied the end of the season together.
Okay.
So it was something that you guys will understand when I was giving it to her. So it was a gift.
Oh, okay.
And
she didn't take it too well.
No, you know what I mean? I thought I had good taste, but evidently she didn't like it.
All right, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. We'll have to go back and watch it on slow-mo, like frame by frame. We'll get like, you know, CSI on that. You're also dating a fighter.
Yeah, I am.
What is that like I mean, I can imagine in a lot of ways it's nice to have someone who knows what you're going through, but what's the toughest thing about also dating a fighter?
I would say the toughest thing is separating the two, because it's like if you work with your partner, you know what I mean? So I mean, we do everything together, and we go to the gym, we have to separate the relationship from the gym time, and then we come home, we have to separate the gym time from the relationship, you know? So that is probably the hardest thing, and I think being a fighter, we both are pretty headstrong. I think you have to be kind of a headstrong, just like determined kind of person. And so, you know, when we argue about who's going to do the dishes, you know, sometimes, yeah, you know, it gets a little crazy. I put him in a chokehold, and then I have to wake him up, you know. So I end up doing the dishes anyway, you know. So, you know,
that's really fun. You're going to stay with us. Coming up, we have some tweets that we want you to answer from our fans, and Amani, you're going to stick around too, and we'll update our poll results as well. But first, you've heard of a 2-minute drill. Well, Peter King has your 1-minute drill. That's 1 minute previewing the season for every NFL team. They're all up now on SI.com, but here's Peter's preview of the team he thinks will have the most interesting season, the Philadelphia Eagles. Welcome back to SI Now, powered by Ford. Maggie Gray, Amani Toomer, and mixed martial artist Miesha Tate is here, wrapping up the show. First, we asked you on Twitter if you had any tweets for Miesha. So how about this? How hilarious was it to see Rhonda flip her lid when she saw you as the other coach? And we're talking about The Ultimate Fighter.
That was great. It feels really nice to be on the other end of the spectrum, you know, for a while, because it was always like me being upset about whatever she said and her laughing, and then like now it's like it's completely reversed. So it felt really, really good, and it was rewarding to be able to like go in there and like she didn't know what was going on, and she's like, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, "Well, I'm here to coach, right? That's what you're here to do." And she's like, "Wait a minute, where's Dana?" And she stormed off, and I wasn't going to tell her, you know, I was going to let her go around and figure it out. So it was funny.
Yeah. Do you think you'll ever be friends with Rhonda?
I really highly doubt it. She makes it very hard for me to like her personally. You know, she's always been pretty rude and disrespectful. So unless she had like a complete epiphany and like a big change of heart and whatever, then maybe. But I don't ever see that happening. And we're just two very different people. Yeah.
Our next tweet for Miesha is: do you enjoy agitating Rhonda? Do you feel the shift in support away from her and towards you?
Absolutely. I think people are finally seeing her true colors a little bit, you know, because this is a 6-week thing. It's not like you can really hide who you are over a 6-week course, and the cameras are always there. So I think people are finally starting to realize, you know, exactly why I haven't been able to get along with her and what the problem's been. And I think it's hilarious that she's already making up excuses for how she behaved and saying that, you know, I emotionally manipulated her and all this stuff. And it's really funny. She's actually already seems embarrassed, like looking back on it, knowing that, you know, people are going to see the truth. Yeah. And so she's like, I don't even want to watch it. She said she's not going to watch the season, and that she hopes people don't judge her and whatever. And so I'm like, well, you know, I mean, I think you reap what you sow.
Wow, there's some bad blood here. Bottom line, this is a grudge match.
I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you didn't already have a reality TV show, this is exactly perfect for one. But you have The Ultimate Fighter. Our poll results. Let's get your responses to the most inspiring moment in sports. It looks like the Miracle on Ice comes in with 71% of the vote today. Of course, you see your options there. What do you guys think, personally for you? Two athletes. What was the most inspiring moment for you, or maybe someone who inspired you?
It would have to be the Miracle on Ice. I remember I knew nothing about hockey in 1980, and I remember after that after the gold medal, me and my brothers were playing hockey with our baseball bats with helmets on, trying to figure out how to play it. But we were just jumping at the net. So those are an inspiring story for me because it brought the game of hockey into my life.
Wow, thinking about that with baseball bats, trying to play
we didn't
hockey.
know what we were doing at all.
Wonderful visual. That's amazing. What about for you, Miesha?
You know, I think there's been so many inspiring moments in the course of my life. It's hard to probably just pick one, but I think that I'm inspired anytime that I see someone come back from any adversity. You know, I mean, I see someone get knocked down, I see maybe them lose the title, and then they come back and they win it, or whatever it is. You know, I think Frankie Edgar and Gray Maynard was a very inspiring fight, you know, to see him be the smaller guy out there. You know, he's always been tiny for his weight class, and he almost got finished that first round, and then he came back and he won the fight, and that was a pretty cool, you know, it was a pretty cool thing to see.
Yeah, we're looking forward to watching you, UFC 168, coming up at the end of the year, December 28th, and that will be in Las Vegas. It was lovely to meet you, and thank you for coming by. I also watch you on The Ultimate Fighter. And Amani, thank you so much for being here. We missed you when you were on vacation. We're glad you're back.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back.
And glad that the football season's finally starting on Thursday, I'm sure, right? And thank you for watching SI Now, powered by Ford. We'll see you back here tomorrow.